Good morning, welcome back to Acre Homestead. So I was not planning on getting out there this early. That's why I have not gotten ready. But I kind of want to show you what they're working on today so that you can, or so that we can have a before and that we can have an after. It looks like what he's doing is he's mowing the area that's going to be the actual garden. So that means that we're going to get kind of an idea of how big the garden is actually going to be. So up until this point, they've been kind of working on our backyard lawn area, which is this area here. They stripped all the old lawn off so that when we replant grass seed, we're not dealing with a huge weedy seed bank. They've been working on ripping out trees. There was a tree right here that was ripped out because it blocked our amazing view. There's this line here, and he's mowing inside the line, it looks like. You can see the line right here. There already are a couple things that I want to change from the original plan. Originally, the greenhouse was going to go right here. I know that I want it tucked down the hill a little bit. It's hard to get perspective right now what all that means. It is pouring out here, so I'll keep you updated as today progresses. He is working back here by himself, but there's also someone up front working. So I'll show you what's happening up in the front. So a lot of things are going to happen in this video, and it's mostly going to be more demo. We've got to remove a bunch of stuff before we can start building things back. So here is a walkway that goes from my driveway to my front door, and it is made out of wood. And because we get so much rain here and up where we are, we get quite a bit of snow and ice. This walkway has been very, very treacherous and very dangerous. So we are going to remove this and we are going to replace it with some stone for safety purposes. Now there is some grippy, you can see kind of that black strip that's on these planks. Well, those were placed on there last April and half of them have kind of come up in the weather. And so it's just not a safe thing. So I'm excited to see this go so that we can put something in that's going to look really nice and be a lot safer for us and for people that are going to come to our home. Now in today's video, it's going to be the span of about a week. So we're going to see a lot of things happen, a lot of transformation and moving in the right direction, which is pretty awesome. So this front area here is going to be a landscaped area where they're going to be working and where I plan to put a lot of perennial flowers, things like peonies and hydrangeas, things that I can cut and bring into my house for beauty, but they're not going to take up as much space in my actual garden where we're going to be producing fruit. I do plan this year and years in my garden to put a ton of annual flowers, things like Rebecca and zinnias, things that we've grown, sunflowers, tons and tons of sunflowers, things that we've grown together in the garden. I plan to plant those in the garden as well, especially for pollinators. But up in these bed areas around the house, I want to put the perennials that will come back year after year that I'll be able to harvest and bring into the house for some really amazing beauty. So that's going to be fun to see that come together. We're going to have this bed come around this side area. This is the side yard. And they're going to start working on removing some of this grass so that there's a chicken. So that they can, there's a couple chickens, work on building this bed here. My chicken's favorite place is underneath this deck and on this deck. So at some point, probably have to walk around their messes on the deck. We are going to need to corral the chickens. Eventually the chickens are going to be going up partly. I can talk to you about this too because we haven't really talked about this before. I think the chickens are going to be going over here somewhere. We're going to build a really cool chicken coop and run so that they're halfway under these trees. They'll have like this whole, well not halfway, but they'll have this whole area that's under the trees, and then we'll build some run out here. We get a lot more snow here than we did at our last house, and chickens really don't like snow. So we wanted to find a place where we could build and have half of them. Oh, there's a chicken right there following me. Half of them underneath the tree, or half their run covered so they'd be safe from snow. Hi, sweetheart. And they would be able to get a big run. But that's not going to be for a little bit. I'm hoping it's sooner than later, but only time will tell on that. So the plan is to go ahead and tear out this retaining wall area that's going along this outside area because it's just sitting kind of crooked on there, and it's always looked a little bit like it's not totally supposed to be there. I don't know if that's the right word, but they all kind of sit a little bit cattywampus. So we're just going to get rid of that altogether, and we'll have the bed kind of tucked down into the driveway. So it'll just be a really nice clean edge, and we'll have bark dust and everything kind of coming directly into the driveway area. Some of them are kind of, the asphalt was put over top of them, so they kind of have to be dug out a little bit, but it'll look really nice in the end. And excuse me, I never ended up putting makeup on today, so it is what it is. But we're going to get out here and I'm going to show you what else they're going to tear out. So we're just going to kind of streamline this. So we haven't really talked about this, I don't think. So this is where the previous owner's garden was. We eventually are going to turn this into, I think, a blueberry field. Like the whole entire thing in here is going to be blueberries. But for now, these are all strawberries. And then we have our 2 garlic beds. And then this is going to become a road here. So this whole area here is eventually going to be a road that we can drive our tractor, and we can get our farming equipment back here. It's pouring cats and dogs out here right now. Part of living in the Pacific Northwest. All these stumps, these trees were cut down. These stumps are going to come down in the next couple days. But this is all going to be torn out too. And this is all going to just become nice lawn area here. So all this, because it was kind of falling apart anyway, we're just going to clean it up. All these bushes in here were way overgrown. And we're just going to make this nice and tidy. And this is also going. They're going to take this too. This was a fish tank. There was a goldfish in there, or a koi or something. But we're just going to go ahead and get rid of this. And obviously those 2 pots. I can actually now look over and see how big the garden's going to be. I was worried that it was not going to be big enough, because if I'm going through all this effort, I might as well go big, right? But it's only me that manages this garden, and I need to be realistic. And it's going to be plenty big. It's going to be this whole area here, this dark area. This is all going to be the lawn here, but this, it's hard to tell on the camera, but all the way to there, that's all going to be garden. This half is going to be raised beds. This half is going to be in ground. The goal is going to be trying to plant in those raised beds by very late March, beginning of April. We'll see. Even if I get stuff mid-April, we'll still hopefully be able to grow lots of stuff out here. But it is very, very wet out here. I'm going to go inside and I'm going to go bake them some cookies. I've got a couple different kind of cookie dough in the freezer. I'm not sure which one I'm going to bake up yet, but we're going to make some cookies. I just asked them if they're okay with cookie dough with nuts in it. So I was going to look through my freezer to see what we have. We've got all sorts of, this week, I'm going to deal with those tomatoes. Those need to go. But we've got the cookie dough. This is the cranberry white chocolate. We have our pretzel chocolate peanut butter. We've got a couple in here. I also could bake them up a peach pie, but we have some cookie dough here. This is peanut butter cookie. That's a pizza dough. But I have peach pies. Maybe I'll make them a peach pie. Perfect. I set the oven for 350, but if I'm going to make peach pies, I need it at 400. So we're going to turn that up. I'm going to cook these from frozen. I've never done this before, so I'm not sure exactly how they're going to cook up, but I don't see why they would not cook up beautifully. Maybe I should get my other ones out so that Josh can have one tonight as well. I just went out and grabbed 2 more. so that there's enough for Josh and I to have one for dessert tonight. So I'm just mixing up 1 egg here, and we'll just brush this on top of our pies. We made these pies together over the summer. I went peach picking, and I took some of those peaches and I made these hand pies as a fun way to preserve some locally grown peaches for a convenient, easy dessert this winter, which this is working out absolutely beautifully. So in a matter of a couple minutes, we got the pies ready for the oven. Those are probably going to bake for 15 to 20 minutes, and I'll show you what they look like coming out of the oven. While the peach pies are baking, the fish tank is being taken down, and so is it used to be kind of like a cottage garden over there. I do have plans to have a garden up here on this deck for things like lettuce and herbs, things that I want to harvest really quickly. So if I'm cooking dinner, I can just run outside and grab some lettuce or some herbs, but that will come together in a little bit, and I'll kind of go over my thoughts and plans for that. But for now, it's still a matter of just removing things and kind of creating a space where we can start to add things back. So it always kind of, you got to take away before you can add to. And I'm really excited to see this fish tank go, because it kind of wasn't serving any purpose, and it was kind of a little bit of an eyesore sitting there. Okay, so this is all cleaned except for oh no, they got all these pavers too. Okay, so there was pavers here. All that is cleaned up. Wow. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Oh wow, that looks so much better having that gone. Wow, so that really helps open up the view. Oh, the clouds are starting to part a little bit. You can kind of see a little bit of the cascades back there. Wow. The hand pies are done. I'm just trying to check the bottom here. They're a little bit toasty just to make sure they're cooked all the way through, and I'm going to wrap them up and give each one of the landscapers a hand pie so they can enjoy a warm treat on their way home. To have treats in my freezer that I can just pull out, preheat the oven, bake something so easy, and it feels like a blessing to me to be able to pull that out of the freezer, bake it up, and give it to someone who is blessing me so much by working on, honestly, my dream come true. This is a dream come true, and so I'm just so grateful for my previous self's efforts to be able to have peach pies in the freezer that I can pull out. They taste like summer, and hopefully it blesses them as much as it feels like it blesses me to be able to pull those out of the freezer and give it to them for just working out in this gross day. It's actually not raining right now, which is kind of crazy because it has been pouring all day. So, oh, this door's locked. I gotta go through the other door. So I'm just so grateful for you being here, for them being here, and for the progress that is being made. It's the next day, and I want to show you what they're working on right now. I forgot to tell Josh that I had the peach pies cooling in the refrigerator, so he didn't have one for dessert last night. So I was able to just go bring him one for breakfast. So today is Thursday, and I didn't mention this, but our landscapers work Monday through Thursday, so they work 4 10s, and they're working on the front right now. So yesterday they ripped up that walkway, and today they started digging it out so that they can lay the pavers. We're gonna do pavers because the wood was so slippery and dangerous. And now they're starting to cut into where the landscaping beds, and we're gonna rework the whole bed so that it looks really neat and tidy and clean. And the chickens are out there with them. Did it go in the truck? Yeah. Oh, they don't bother you, do they? Oh, there's another one. Oh my goodness. So there's a chicken coming out of the truck right now. Is it gonna jump? Yeah. It looks like it's considering jumping. This obviously is where the pavers are going to go here, but inside these white spray painted lines, this is going to be a dry riverbed. Our landscaper kind of wanted us to do a water feature, and Josh kind of liked the idea, but we quickly realized with the dogs and maintenance that just wasn't something we wanted. So we're going to do a dry riverbed. I wasn't sure my thoughts on it, but you'll see it's pretty cool. chore day for me. I got the house completely deep cleaned yesterday. Kitchen, bathrooms, floors, new bedding or clean bedding on the beds. So I really don't want to do a bunch of cooking. So we're gonna pull out some more freezer convenient stuff. These are some peanut butter cookies. Oh, they smell so good, that we made together before Christmas actually. So these are coming in handy here. Pull this out. I'm preheating the oven to 350 degrees. I'm just going to use the same pan, same cookie sheet to bake these. Well, no, maybe I'll grab a different piece of parchment paper. But today I am doing computer work all day and I'm doing laundry all day. So we got the house clean yesterday, but now we need to focus on laundry and computer work. So we're going to get some of these cookies in the oven for them. I don't have to worry about messing up my kitchen. Now that it's nice and clean, I want to keep it clean for at least a little bit. So I like to make enough for everybody to have 2. I'll just make this whole pan, right like this. I'm going to put these back in the freezer while we wait for our oven to preheat. So we're going to bake those for 8 minutes. Here are the cookies out of the oven. I'm going to go bring them to them. Each of the landscapers gets 3 of the cookies. I understand what the big vision of what this project is going to be, but all the little details I don't totally understand. So one thing I'm kind of excited about is these really big rocks. There were quite a few of them in this front landscaping area. They are being repurposed, so we're not getting rid of them. We are repurposing them. So this whole front area is going to be completely reworked. And let's see, I can show you. This is the plan right here. I've kind of gone over it a little bit, and this is the area they're working on right now. This is the front of the house, and they are taking those rocks all the way around the back, and I think they're going to start putting them right over here. So let me show you where they're going back there. The garden area where we're going to have our vegetables and fruits and things is going to be way down here. You can't see that on this plan here. So we're going to head around the back. There's going to be a gravel road that goes, let me show you, from the front to the back. The chickens, they're having so much fun. They're so confused by all this construction, and I can tell they're exploring new places on my property, and I'm really enjoying that. But I'm also really looking forward to them having a permanent spot. We don't know where that permanent spot is going to be yet, but it's going to be somewhere. I think I was just telling you where we were going to put it on the side of the house. Well, Josh and I talked this morning, and I don't think I'm happy with that spot. I think I want it closer to the garden, because if you were in my garden last year, we took a lot of the garden scraps and a lot of the garden weeds and things, and I fed it to my chickens. So I don't think it makes sense to have the chickens that far away from the garden. So we're still figuring that out. But this area right here that's currently lawn, this right here is going to turn into a road so that we can drive things like our side-by-side. Oh, I need to show you something else that's so exciting. I just noticed this morning, and I have been gardening. This is going to be going into my 4th summer on any sort of scale. Basically my 4th year gardening. Every single year I have 100% doubt that everything I plant is going to fail. Same with this garlic. We planted this garlic from seed that we saved this fall, and you can see it, but I can see it. There is garlic popping up everywhere. All over this bed. There's garlic sprouting. Same with, well, I say same with, but actually I'm not seeing any garlic over here. I planted this whole bed out with garlic too, but this bed mostly has elephant garlic, which is a different variety that's planted about 8 inches or 6 inches below the dirt, versus this is planted about 1.5 inches below the soil. So maybe that's why we see that and we don't see the elephant garlic. I don't know. But the goal is to have this whole area be road. So the road is going to come through here, and it's going to attach to this area here, so the tractor, we can have a nice road where we don't have to worry ever about driving on grass. So the road is going to come all the way around this way and go around that way, because our big garden is going to be right here. So we're going to have a road all the way to the other side of the house. This area here is going to be like the backyard landscaped area. And I don't know where they're putting all those rocks. They were wheelbarrowing them over here. here they are. So they're all right here. They're probably gonna have to move them when they take up these stumps, but I am not worried about that. I'm excited just to see them over here. And yes, I'm wearing Josh's shoes. We won't tell him. I'll put them back where I found them. I may be a little notorious for stealing my husband's shoes because they are way bigger than my shoes, and so I can slip them on my feet really easily. And that's why sometimes they are my go-to shoe. I don't know if any of you steal your spouses or your partners or your significant others or someone in your family who you live with shoes, but I do. And anyway, I'm just grateful to be out here. It feels good to be outside. That's one thing that I have been so just grateful and enjoying about this process of starting this garden is it's forcing me outside. And I ordered a bunch of seeds today. I placed a massive seed order, which feels like, what's the word? It feels like the fact that I placed a seed order and there's nowhere to plant a seed right now feels like I'm just putting it out there, putting faith out there that I am going to be having a garden and we are going to be growing food on this homestead this year. Today is Thursday. They don't work on Fridays. They have a 3-day weekend, which I'm super excited for them because when they come back, they'll be rested and we are going to start massively changing what this landscape looks like. We are going to be moving so much soil, so much dirt. We're going to be putting some terracing in. All of this is going to be completely reworked. So much soil is going to be moved. Here is where the garden is going to be and the terracing. It's hard to tell, but where they cut the grass right here, it's a little bit taller way back there. That's not going to be the garden, but this area all the way to over there is going to be the garden. And this is all going to be just completely reworked. All of this is going to be reworked. They still have to take up a bunch of and move a bunch of these rocks and change this and everything. Happy Monday, friends. There are some serious equipment in our backyard that I want to show you what's going on. They are starting to do some really big moving of dirt and things like that. I'm really excited about it. I am today, while they're going to be working outside, I am working on a huge project that I was not planning on doing whatsoever. Down the future, I was planning on doing it, but not today. We are repainting, because I didn't like the color I originally chose, so that's what I'm doing today while they work outside. But let me get my coat on and some shoes on so we can go look and see what they're doing out there. So it looks like they have a big tractor. I don't know what those are actually called, but they are going to be ripping out all of the laurels, like the roots and stuff. Wow. One thing about this big project is it's different every day. Sometimes they're working on things in the front, sometimes they're working on things in the back, and sometimes they start a project and then the next day they're not able to finish that project because it really just depends on the weather. The weather is a huge deal when it comes to these big landscaping days because certain things they can do when it's raining, like they could remove the deck and kind of move some of the dirt like they were last week when it was raining, but they couldn't really remove these roots. Even though they cut these trees down a week and a half ago, they needed it to be dry when they were getting in here with this equipment to work up these roots, so they weren't just dealing with a ton of mud. And so it's kind of interesting because I'm so new to all of this type of stuff to watch this whole thing progress and kind of see what they can do when it's depending on the weather. And they're being so efficient by working around the weather and making sure every day they're able to do something, but just working with what the weather deals, whether they're doing certain things or not, if that makes sense. So while they're out here, when it was raining last week, I was inside and I was organizing my house, giving it a good deep clean and organizing after the holidays and the baby and everything. My house kind of got a little bit out of control. So I was able to take last week to really focus on kind of doing some of those projects that just needed to be done. And then I was feeling like, oh, I have all this time on my hands. What should I do? And then Josh and I decided to paint, which I'm so glad we decided to paint. But it's kind of funny that sometimes when I have a bunch of time that I'm like, oh, I could probably sit and relax, I decide to bite off another big project. But I'm actually very, very, very grateful that Josh encouraged me to go ahead and get that project started, because I am so thrilled with the way that it is turning out. My dad is actually going to come over tomorrow, and we are going to be doing a bunch of painting. Currently, while they're working and removing these roots and what they're working on today, I'm inside just cutting in and trying to prep and get a bunch of stuff done so that when my dad comes over tomorrow, we are able to just continue this project, the painting project, and get it done. And it's just amazing to see these roots come out of the ground. It is pretty incredible to watch. One cool thing is where I'm painting inside, there's a bunch of windows. And so as they're working away, I am able to kind of watch this whole process unfold. There were a bunch of these roots that they're removing. These were trees slash kind of bushes. I don't know if they're technically a tree or a bush, or a hedge, because they kind of were a hedge, but they were as tall as the house. You couldn't see the house at all, and it's really opened up this view. You couldn't see that mountain. It's very cloudy right now, and you couldn't see these trees from inside the house because those laurels were blocking this side view. And I'm really happy with how removing these trees opened up the view. I was very torn on whether we should remove these laurels or not, and I think we made the right call. I'm supposed to be painting, but I keep getting distracted because it's so fun. Well, if I can get myself out of my house. But it's so fun watching them work out here that I keep wanting to come out here and see what they're doing. They've made already some serious progress. It's amazing what some big equipment can do. All these trees are uprooted, which is awesome, and now they're moving some serious rocks. So this used to be a pond in here, but it doesn't work. So we are tearing all of this out, and we are gonna repurpose all those rocks. This big old boulder is gonna stay, I think. So this one's staying, but all of these rocks are gonna be repurposed. You can see it looks like there's the pond liner. We had no desire to try to fix the pond or to rebuild the pond or build a new pond because our dogs would just be in it all the time. So we are just gonna repurpose these rocks so that they don't go away. And we're just gonna turn this into either lawn or landscaping. And I think once they kind of work on this whole area up here, that's when they're gonna move down and start moving a bunch of dirt. They just have to get the rocks and the roots and all that stuff out of the way. And then we can start working on grading all of this, because the grade is all gonna be different, and we can start working on the garden. Now, this retaining wall that's here is falling apart, and just like in the front, it needs to be taken up. We're going to completely rework the way that the flower beds are in the backyard. When I first started gardening, I did not care about flowers. I mean, I enjoyed flowers. I would buy them for myself from time to time, but growing them was not something that was a priority. It wasn't until last year when I really focused on growing flowers, and my love for flowers has just grown year after year. And so just like in the front where I was talking about, I want to plant a bunch of perennial flowers, I want to do the same thing back here as well. So when we rework these beds, these flower beds, we're going to put a bunch of perennial flowers here. They work so incredibly fast. This whole area is now dug up. So we're going to reshape this whole bed, because there is going to be a bed here. They took up, there used to be a wooden step here. They took that up, and we're gonna have the lawn come up to where that concrete step is. So there will be one step here, but instead of it being a wooden step, it'll just be the lawn coming up to the concrete. And oh my goodness, so this has already changed a lot since I was out here just 10 minutes ago. This is already starting to, we're gonna see the shape of this slope, because there was this huge retaining wall here, and he's already able to reshape this, and we're getting a better idea of what this is going to look like. Here is an overall look. You can see the big transformation of where those trees were removed here. and this whole section is going to become the backyard.
It's definitely starting to feel a lot more real. The whole time they were just chopping trees down and things, I was having a lot of concern on whether we were making the right choices or not. But now that I'm seeing the dirt moving, I think we definitely we're making the right choices. Right now, what they're working on is trying to figure out where the gravel road is gonna start. We're gonna have a big retaining wall with a road on one side to access from the side of the house where the tractor is. That's gonna go around so that we can get from the side of the house to the garden. And that is what they're mapping out right now. And they wanna make sure they have it done correctly because there's gonna be the road, the big retaining wall, a garden bed, and a lawn. This is one of the earlier plans. So the garden here is gonna look a little different than this plan, but this backyard area is still the same. So this is where our tractor is, and there's gonna be a gravel road that's gonna come around here all the way to be able to access the garden. But there's gonna be this retaining wall, and there's gonna be a bed right here with, like plants and things like that. And then this is gonna be our lawn. So right now, this is the area they are trying to map out. So the main thing they're going to probably be working on today is that corner over there where we were talking about they're mapping out the road, the bed, and all of that. But we also talked about, and they did some spray painting over here where, well, let me go down here and I'm going to show you. So I'm starting to get a better visual representation of what this is going to look like. It's hard when I look at that 2D image because I don't have much experience with that to know exactly what this is going to look like. But right here you can see they just spray painted this white line here. So from here over is going to be farm garden area. So right here they're going to build a stone retaining wall, and then from the retaining wall to here there's going to be a 5-foot bed with a fence, and then from there over it's going to be our lawn. So we're going to have a retaining wall, a bed, lawn with a fence along this side so the dogs can stay in the lawn. And then we'll have a rock retaining wall, and then there's going to be a 10-foot from the retaining wall all the way over to here. It's going to go along the whole yard all the way around to the tractor where that tractor is. There's going to be a 10-foot gravel road that's going to give me access to the garden, which is going to be right in here. That road is going to be a critical part in all of this so that we can get our equipment and our garden things from over there to over here without ruining the lawn. And one thing I'm so excited about, it is so bright out here right now. It's like, I don't even need this coat on. It is so warm and the sun is out, and it's been so long since the sun's been out. But to be able to have an area where it's going to be completely fenced in for my dogs, I haven't had a completely fenced in yard for our dogs in almost 3 years. So to be able to let our dogs out and not have to worry about them running off, because they are notorious for doing that, is going to be a huge blessing. Another thing they're working on is, it's hard to tell, but the way that this lawn goes is it goes down, it scoops here, and then it goes this way. So they're going to work on kind of leveling this whole thing.
So the first thing they do is they start to kind of take some of this soil and push it around to help even out the backyard so we can have more of a level area. Now there is still going to be a slope to the backyard. One reason we kind of wanted the slope instead of doing like steps or something is so that we can get a lawnmower into the backyard to mow the backyard with a riding lawnmower. Our tractor actually has a lawnmower attachment. We purchased our tractor from the previous owners, and that's what they used the tractor for the most, was it has this big lawn mowing attachment. So one thing we kind of wanted to avoid when designing this backyard and the garden was to avoid steps so that we could maneuver equipment around the property easier. So you can see how quickly this heavy equipment can start to change the way the landscaping is looking. And it is fascinating to watch. The skill it takes to manipulate this amount of dirt and do it correctly is so impressive. It's been such a pleasure to be able to watch this transformation happen. So they are taking this soil, and they are using some of it to build up the backyard. You can see here there's piles of dirt, and that's what they're going to use to build up the backyard. We are going to bring in a lot of compost as well before we plant the grass seed to make sure the grass does really well here.
I just threw some white chocolate chip cranberry cookies in the oven for them today because it's been a long, busy day for them, and I think that hopefully they will enjoy them. My dad is going to be here in probably 10 or 15 minutes, and we are going to just hang out there and just kind of watch them continue to cut out the road. It's been really fun. I have been mostly painting today, so it will be, well, painting on and off as time allows. But it's been a really good day. It's been fun being able to be in there painting and watching them move a lot of dirt. Ooh. They are done. I'm not sure what I did wrong exactly with this cookie dough recipe. They didn't flatten out at all. They taste really, really good. They just kind of look funny. That's crazy. Transformation. It's gonna look so different from the down the.
Oh, and already down below. It's funny, just looking at it. It's like wide open.
My dad is here, and we're going over what's happening, and it's incredible what's happened in the last like 2.5 hours since I was out here. This whole area is getting cut in. This up here was where all those laurels were this morning, where they took out all those roots of those trees. That is this area right where we're walking, and it looks all completely different. They're cutting in where there's gonna be a path, and there's gonna be a flower bed back here by the house, and it's just looking so incredibly different. They're taking some of the dirt and putting it up here so that we can help kind of level out this lawn. It's not going to be completely level, but it will definitely have less of a slope than it does now because we're taking a bunch of that dirt and going to build it up. And then we're also taking a bunch of the dirt and putting it down here because we're going to push some of that dirt back so we can help level out this area as well. But let me come down here and show you how much has already been cut out. This is where the 10-foot gravel road is going to be, right here. There's a white line right there that he's going to cut the grass.
My dad and I are just enjoying the process and talking about the future plans of this area and just dreaming about what the future holds for this space for us.
So this is the area that we were at earlier today where I was saying this is going to be the lawn. There's going to be a flower bed, retaining wall, road, garden. So huge transformation. He's only been working on cutting in this road for the past about hour and a half. So it's amazing what that tractor can do. I think they're probably cleaning up and calling it a night. They're usually done around 4 o'clock and it's about 3:30-ish, I think, right now. And there's a chicken walking in the road, getting all the bugs and worms.
The next thing that's going to be happening back here is to build the retaining wall. So where they have cut away, where there's that big wall, of dirt, we have to find a way to retain that dirt. And so we are going to be bringing in a ton of boulders, and there's going to be a boulder retaining wall that is going to be there, and it's going to be pretty stunning, I think.
They're filling in what was the old pond that was leaking and broken so that we can have just one nice solid area here, which is going to be great. And now we're starting to get an idea of what the grade is going to be like. It's so much more I mean, there's definitely a slope to it, but it's a lot more level. The chickens are probably going to be going to bed here pretty soon. And then over here, I showed you earlier, there used to be a dip right here, and that dip is completely gone. They are done for the evening, so I'm gonna go grab them their cookies so they can have a nice warm cookie on their way home. And it's just amazing, the transformation. Now that they've started to cut away that road, I think the next step is to actually move from the yard into what will be the garden, which is really where my heart is and where I'm just like so excited that we are getting to this point. It's just such a huge blessing and something that I'm just so looking forward to.